Alright guys, so I'm actually going to put this little segment on a follow-up on the firearms legislation from yesterday on YouTube with video as well as putting it on the air today. So hi YouTube, and remember you can get the entire episode, and most of today's episode is not YouTube. You guys on YouTube, it's not about firearms, it's about skill set development in general. So I'd love to have you come by and look up episode 1052 of the Survival Podcast and hear what else we have to say about things that are not gun related. And this will probably be the last big thing I do on gun rights for a while, because our show is widely topical. We go into everything from gardening to guns to food storage to beekeeping, you name it. Anything that's self-sufficiency, self-reliance, independence, and liberty related. But right now this is a hot issue, and we have a lot of fire coming in trying to convince us that we need to do something. I mean, that's the big thing. We have to do something. And usually when people say we have to do something, they really don't know what the hell they're talking about. And you end up with something that you really don't want. In the bill I mentioned yesterday, which was 6725, a lot of people pointed out, that bill's gone. Yes, but it's back. It's not changed by one period or comma. It's now H.R. 21. It was introduced into Congress on the last day of the session of the old Congress so that it was easy to reintroduce in the new session. And again, if you focus on just this bill, you're missing my point. I am not saying this is the bill to fight. I'm saying this is a bill of an example of many bills that will be thrown all around and mashed together that we're going to have to eventually fight. And there's something in this that I did not mention yesterday. That's why I'm doing this follow-up. I meant to doing the videos in conjunction with the show's new for me, so I kind of got discombobulated and forgot it and left it out. That is a provision on terrorism. I want to read to you a provision in the bill. The Attorney General may deny a license application if the Attorney General determines that the applicant, including the responsible person, is known or appropriately suspected to be or have been engaged in conduct constituting in preparation for, in aid of, or related to terrorism, or providing material support thereof, and the Attorney General has reasonable belief the applicant may use the firearm in conjunction with terrorism. This sounds perfectly reasonable to the average person who's never actually, paid attention to the fact that we've had people put on the terror watch, and that's basically what that means. They can explain it any way they want, but this means if you're on the terror watch list, you can't buy a gun. I know that many people would go, well, duh, we shouldn't let a terrorist buy a gun. But being on the terrorist watch list doesn't mean you're a terrorist. That just means that somebody put your name on the list, and the Attorney General may not be the one that directly does it. People like the Attorney General of the United States have a lot of things done by their surrogates, and it can empower many surrogates, committees of surrogates, to compile things like terror watch lists, which can result in people getting put on the list because somebody with their name belongs on the list, but they got the wrong one. Because somebody posted something somewhere on Facebook that somebody didn't like, and somebody told somebody, and next thing you know, this guy's on the terrorist watch list because somebody that's a bureaucrat somewhere decided, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. This is the problem with the terror watch list. And this bill does not have provisions for the no-fly list in it, but I guarantee you that if this happens to be the bill they take forward, riders with that will go on there. And if they do a different bill, it will get introduced as an amendment or part of a new bill. Those are two things that every time the president speaks and every time the gun grabbers speak, we have to at least do certain things, and they get put in there. They sound completely reasonable. Here's the problem. We've had people put on that list, and you look at their life, and they've never done anything wrong in their life. They don't have a speeding ticket. Could they be legitimately suspected? Yes. I'll admit that they could, but here's where my problem is, and this is not just about gun control. This is about the no-fly list in general. The terror watch list and a no-fly list need to be looked at as a single issue because they're handled the same way. Someone in the Attorney General's office decides that a person goes on the list. That person has no recourse. That person can't say, why am I on the list? They'll say, we can't tell you. For national security. You can't tell me why you put me on a list that inhibits my right to fly, and if they get their way with this, my right to buy a gun. You can't tell me why, but you can inhibit my ability to travel. Yes. What do I do to get off the list? You don't. That's freaking Nazi Germany, folks. That's Russia. That's, Russia during the USSR, right? That's going on right now with the no-fly list. We've had people like the gentleman that got stranded in Hawaii that was flying to Japan to see his wife who's serving as an officer in the United States Navy that was told he couldn't go. And as far as he's concerned, he was put on that list because he's known as a prepper. Now, is he full of crap? Could he actually have something that fits this definition? He might, but we don't know that, do we? Does he have any recourse? No. Does the government have to justify in any way? Do they have to be accountable in any way for putting people on this list? No. Is there anything he can do ever to get off this list? No. You're talking about, you remember back in school they said on your permanent record? You're talking about an actual real blot on your permanent record that actually inhibits you from doing things like getting on a freaking airplane. And then you get the President of the United States of America standing up and telling people, if we won't let you fly on a plane, we shouldn't let you buy a gun. And the average American dolt is going, oh, that makes sense. Pull your head out of your ass, America. Right? It should be absolutely not possible for your government to do this without at least a formal method of recourse by the individual. We can't put people in jail without a trial. And this is what's totally ass backwards about your terror watch list and, putting somebody on it, not letting them get on a plane. You'd think if they actually suspected somebody of that they would want them to get on a plane. They'd want to shadow them. They'd want to have, without the person's knowledge, an air marshal, at the last minute say, we're sorry, sir, you've been moved to a center seat. There's nothing we can do. And have an air marshal flanking them on both sides that look like two business passengers, if that was actually the purpose. They might want to figure out what the heck's going on with this guy and track him down and stop him from doing whatever the hell he's doing. You don't tell him we know what you're doing and you can't fly. That doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. But to be able to restrict an American simply by placing them on a list, that's completely, in my opinion, unconstitutional. And we've already lost the battle. We have to go on the offensive to correct this in the world of flying on a freaking airplane. And we really need to do something about it. But we need to hold the line here. This has no place in our gun regulations because this is what can happen. Anytime that anybody in the government decides that somebody doesn't need to have a gun, they'll just put them on the list. What's to stop some future administration, something more onerous than we have now, from just saying, well, if you've ever been a member of the National Rifle Association, we think you're a terrorist. Don't think it hasn't already been floated by people like the Southern Poverty Law Center, because it has. This is something that every American needs to understand. Even if you don't give a damn about the gun control debate, I encourage you to share the fact with your friends that our government can now put you on a list that prevent you from flying with no accountability and no recourse whatsoever. That's not America, my friends. It's time we start fighting and taking it back.